Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is episode number 77 of the Audible Farm podcast, and this week's episode is brought to you by Couchtown Coffee. Couchtown Coffee is roasted right here in Iowa. You can check it out at www.couchtowncoffee.com. Go to their Facebook page, give them a like, and you can check out this coffee for yourself. They will ship it to your house. It is amazing. It is made to order. It is roasted directly for you. They're not roasting giant batches and then shipping them out. So whatever you ask them for, that's what they're roasting, especially for you. So that's really cool. I want to give a shout out to those guys, and they want to give a shout out to everybody listening by offering you guys 20% off your order. And all you got to do is let them know that Audible Farm sent you and give them the code word Moment of Clarity. That's what I'm going to do the code word. It's going to be like 3 words actually, but that's what it is. You save 20%, enter the code words Moment of Clarity, and that's going to save you 20% on your order. So www.couchtowncoffee.com. Check it out. Find a coffee you like, make an order, send them an email, let them know Audible Farm sent you, and save 20%. Why is this week's code word Moment of Clarity? I'll tell you what, Jack Hanson's joining me. I've never met Jack before. This is a really fun episode. We sit down, we really get to know one another, and we talk about not just music, we talk about life, we talk about all sorts of things. The lessons we've learned, how much we've grown, how far we've come as human beings. It's kind of cool. So I want everybody to check this episode out. It's really fun. It's a long one, but if you guys like the longer ones, I know there's some people out there that just love the longer episodes. It gets them through their days. So here you go. This is a long one made just for you. We sit down, we talk about music, we talk about the things we've learned while playing music, while just being alive and traveling and doing all the things we do. So it's really cool to have Jack on here talking about his new album. His new album is called Jack Off the Record, Moment of Clarity. So I want everybody to check that one out as well. It's available anywhere you can find it online. I've got links down below. Americature, he also plays in Americature, and they got a show coming up. So there's plenty of opportunities. Come check it out because Jack is going to be playing his acoustic stuff on the front end of that show. So check it out. Lots of stuff coming up. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. It's episode number 77 with Jack Hanson.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
All those stickers over there, those are yours, buddy.
These are all mine.
Yep. That's
for me.
That's the only way I've got to say thank you for doing this. I mean,
the real thanks goes to you, though.
No, man, it's I appreciate it. Believe it or not, like I'm glad you put a feeler out because almost everybody that puts one out, I'm just like, come talk to me. Let's figure out what you're doing then.
Yeah.
Because I have a hard time finding guests. So
really,
believe it or not, that's why I do the whole like I'll come to you. I got like a little airplane carry-on bag. I just stuffed all this portable recording stuff in there, and I'm like, I can just come to you with a little 2-track recorder, and we can sit in your house. I try to make it as convenient as possible, and it's tough. But yeah.
I have a hard time believing that you. I find it unbelievable that you have a hard time getting people on podcasts. The guy that I just recorded my album with, actually, Brandon Nelson, IFE. Studio B515 for you listeners out there. If you're looking for a good place to get some recording done, no matter what genre, good place to reach out to. But he's got a ton of artists that would be interested in being on this podcast, you know.
Dude, that's cool. Yeah.
So I can get you plugged in with him and get the ball rolling there.
Oh, heck yeah, man.
If you so desire.
Dude, it wouldn't hurt. I mean, I used to get a lot of contacts, and it was too many to keep up with. Oh, speaking of which, I better say it now since I'm going to edit in somewhere here, but I'm sitting down with Jack Hanson. Jack, what is up, man?
What is going on?
Yes, I mean, I will have announced you in the intro, but this is official. Jack Hanson sitting down with me. And yeah, man, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people about doing the podcast, but I'm really glad you put the feelers out and said, hey, I put out an album. You should see what it's all about. And it's kind of crazy because I clicked on the profile and I'm like, I know this guy. I've seen you in Americature.
Yeah, so, we played some shows together.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where it's like, though we had never met, really, and
never formally.
No, and I don't even think we were Facebook friends. But,
nope.
That's my. Speaking of which, I better say that too. Like, I'm super guilty of not friending people on Facebook because it's like I don't know who you are, and
yep.
I don't. It's weird, but shoot me a message. I probably will friend you. There's some people that have figured that one out, but
yeah.
But yeah, either way, you shot me a message and it was like, hey, I'll totally have you on. And First and foremost, let's talk about this album thing you got going on here, because I looked it up on Spotify last week. I started listening to it, acoustic stuff, but punky stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm real heavily influenced by punk rock music. I kind of found a home there, I guess. I don't want to say that I was outcasted. I had a great group of friends, but we all kind of, like, we weren't the popular kids, but we were popular to us. You know, we had a very vast friend group, and we kind of, at the time, all had found punk rock music. There was a couple buddies of mine that owned Caffeine Rush Entertainment, and that was in Fort Dodge, and we all kind of plugged in to them, and we all had these punk bands. Found a real home in punk rock music, and kind of being the quote unquote misfits or whatever. So we, like I said, we weren't the popular kids, but we were popular, like, to us. You know what I mean? We found a home with each other. You know?
Yeah. I mean, you and I are close to the same age. I'm sure it's around the same time scope. Like, when I was growing up, I played in a punk band in high school, and it was kind of the same concept. It was like, not by any means were we the cool kids, but we were just doing what we were doing, and kind of by virtue of that, it kind of was just like, these guys are doing something, you know? And it didn't make us cool. It was just, you know, something neat going on. And people actually kind of took to it to an extent, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, the punk rock influence from that late 90s, early 2000s swing of pop punk that kind of came in, I think that influenced a lot of people around our time, you know, age group that, you know, influenced us to go into genres thusly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can find a lot of people like that, but this one intrigued me because it's acoustic.
Yeah.
Yes. So what kind of drew you to do an acoustic take on all these kind of things?
As all of the songs these are all songs that I wrote with an acoustic guitar in hand. Okay. And I haven't, I don't want to say I haven't taken the time, because I do play in Americature, and we make Jared Harp's music come to life, and that's fulfilling on its own level. But I've also been a songwriter for so long that I've never recorded an album of my own material. I've recorded, like, tracks with a full band. I've recorded, like, one of my songs by myself as a full band, just going through and tracking. But I haven't ever had, like, a solid project to hold in my hand to say, this is my music, what do you think? And it takes a lot. It takes a lot to record one track by yourself, with all the parts, like the drums, the bass, the backup vocals, the guitars. It just takes time. And I wanted something solidified, because a lot of the music that's going on in Humboldt right now, in Algona, in Fort Dodge, and in the surrounding areas is a lot of acoustic stuff. So I kind of just threw caution to the wind and said, I'm just going to record a really raw acoustic album with my music, because they were all completed songs. You know, I could take them to a number of people and get the help that I need to complete the album. But I needed to do it for me as well, you know, like, to show myself that I could complete something on my own. And, that's kind of where I was at with it.
Dude, I totally get that too. You get a little bit of the area influence of the fact that acoustic guitars and guys in hand can go pretty much anywhere and play a show. And you've got, I was crazy. I looked at this album. I was like, holy crap, there's 10 songs on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's a full album. It's not like little EPs and stuff like that, which nothing against that. Three Finger Buddy's got an EP coming. No, I'm just kidding.
But put it out there. Yeah. Now's the time to put it out there.
No.
Always advertise.
But this is crazy, dude. It was 10 songs. I've listened to the whole thing once through. I got halfway through it again today before you stopped by. And, you know, it's wild because each song is independent of the next song. How long was this stuff you've been writing for? A long period of time, or was it stuff that you have just written over the last year or two? Or
this is something that's kind of been in the works for, like, there's a couple songs that I wrote when I was 24.
Okay.
And I'm 29 now. So
over the course of 5 years then.
Over the course of 5 years. And I think like 4 or 5 of them, 5 or 6 of them are just new in the past, like, year and a half.
Okay.
A couple of them I wrote out in Las Vegas. I wrote Waiting and Where I'm At out in Las Vegas. I was trying to get away from some demons that I was trying to slay, and me and my buddy Rusty McIntyre had thrown him down for the Jack Off the Ice EP, which can be found on SoundCloud and things like that. But as far as how new the material is, there's some old stuff on there.
Yeah.
There's some old stuff on there.
Yeah, man. And
I think the first track on the album, actually, now that I think about it, I wrote when I was 19.
Oh, crazy.
So, and I really push more so than punk anymore because I've kind of become a lot less militant in my belief and only my buddy Matthew Prince, who plays in a band out of Iowa City, Bain Marie.
Oh,
but
nice.
He says, he says that I'm an elitist. And
Yeah.
I've kind of dropped off of that so much, but I push for catchy stuff. I want something that's going to get stuck in the listener's head after 2 or 3 listens.
Dude.
And it's cheap. It's cheap.
Dude,
But
it's understandable listening to this stuff though. Like it does have that catchy factor. Cause like, when we were growing up, punk music would have been kind of more themed in like a happy, like a major key type experience where like a lot of stuff that was in the earlier time span seemed to be in like a minor-ish kind of setting.
Yeah.
So like it has that feel to it, but you still pull off like I'm playing an acoustic guitar, and it almost feels like when you hear some punk songs, they're like, oh, there's this little blip in the middle of it that has a guy playing an acoustic. But I wish it was like the whole song like this. It's all of a sudden, boom, you have that with this album. It's cool, you know. It's not something that I would have ever, you know, thought of. I'm not much of a songwriter myself. You know, I don't write my own music too much. I contribute to Three Finger Betty, but it's mostly John's material there. So it's every time I hear something like this and think like, man, I can envision you sitting down with yourself with an acoustic guitar, just writing all these songs and being like, these songs could be complete as they are now instead of trying to form a full band, which would have been a whole nother endeavor in itself.
yeah, and like I said, that's kind of the point that I reached with the album was I had this the schematic, if you will, for the album because it kind of follows a story. I have a real obsession with I get my heart. I was getting my heart broken there a lot.
Yeah.
That's so. There's a lot of songs about women on it, and I had just sprinkled enough of my personal struggles in throughout it that it can be kind of taken like are the songs necessarily about females? And at the time I was writing them, I was going through these personal things. Or is it about letting go of that? Is kind of where I was at to. Pull it all together. You know, the moment of clarity is doing what you have to do to get a better life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, man. That's something I feel like has become a popular topic of conversation with a lot of people, is trying to find some way to like find that clarity in your own life to go to the next step to have a better life. You know,
Yeah.
it's cool to attack this idea with an album, but speak to it with your own personal experiences kind of wrapped up in there and sprinkled in there. Plus I really enjoy the fact that you said that, is this really like a love song about a girl, or does it have like a little bit of another meaning that's sprinkled in there with it?
Yeah.
Because I was listening to somebody else talking about this topic, and they said that, it's kind of cool if you listen to a lot of old love songs, they actually have like all these double meanings in them. For example, like, oh God, I'm not going to be able to remember this song.
of course, yeah.
But yeah, okay, on the spot, I can't remember it. But yeah, it was one of those deals where like, if this song might be about like, oh, me and this girl, blah, blah, this, that, and the other, but it's like, oh, this is actually about like rebuilding a car, or something like that,
Yeah.
and it's just, it sounds like it's a love song, but I don't know. One of those kind of concepts.
Yeah. I'm trying now. I got a couple songs going through my head now, of course, that follow that same like and swim through your veins like a fish in the sea.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the song, but
Uncle Cracker.
Uncle Cracker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh man, I'm gonna get a lot of crap for remembering that one.
Yeah,
But still, that's a popular song, dude.
Popular song,
Yep.
and apparently it was about his drug addiction.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Dude, there you go.
Follow me and everything is all right.
Yeah.
I'll be the one to tuck you in at night.
Dude, yeah. Okay, so I get the concept. I mean, there's a lot of songs like that. Megadeth had a couple What would it be? Like In My Darkest Hour would have been one. I mean, that's just throwing it out there for Megadeth fans. It's not really a super popular example. For
Those of you that are listening.
Yeah, for the 3 people that have ever listened to Megadeth that are listening, no. But seriously though, it's a cool concept to actually sit down and write music on your own. I bet a lot of people write music on an acoustic guitar sitting at home alone and then somehow translate it to another instrument, you know?
Yeah.
I mean...
the struggle is real when it comes to wanting to, and people do it all the time. I guess it's really hard for me. I am a drummer, and I am a bass player.
Okay.
So for me to map everything out exactly how I want it was the point of having the songs done all the way. Because it's like I have these songs now done, and that's how I want them to be. So if I want to, I can sit down at a drum set and map out exactly how I want the drums to be, and that just... It takes time and it takes practice, and playing in a band already and then trying to do work with Brandon at the studio and working a job and having a girlfriend and trying to find time for the family and do all the things that we do to have a full and complete life, you know.
It's tough to find a balance. So like
exactly.
Something's got to give. I totally get that. I got to ask you, drummer first or guitarist? Like, what did you pick up first? Or are you like some people where it's like I played the trumpet first?
I played the trumpet first.
Okay.
And actually, years before that, I remember my dad giving me and my sister and my brother piano lessons.
Oh, cool.
You know, so like I dabble in all of them. I play 5 instruments and I sing and I write music.
That's cool.
So I play drums, trumpet, piano, guitar, and bass.
Cool, man. That's kind of like me, except I don't play the piano well or the drums well.
I'm not saying that I play all of them well. I couldn't pick up a trumpet and make very good sounds come out of it for the first couple months. But I played it for 6 or 7. No, when I was 11 and I quit school when I was 21. So yeah, played it for 10 years. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. Mm-hmm. It's cool, but I'm not practiced at all on it.
Yeah.
In piano, I like to just, you know, I know how a piano works. I shouldn't say like I'm a religious piano player, but I if you give me a piano, I know how keys work and I know how to shift and make cool sounds come out.
Yeah. When I first studied music theory, actually, like the only instrument it made any sense on to me was a piano because it's like laid out.
That's the only reason I know how a piano works. It's because of music theory.
Yeah. And it's mind blowing. Like I couldn't believe it. You know, I was taking a music theory class when I was in high school and I was like, oh, this makes sense now. Before everyone's just saying numbers and steps and I don't get what you're talking about, you know, and this just maps it out perfectly, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess if anybody's listening, you're having trouble with figuring out what keys and things like that are and steps and where the, you know, letters are and what scales.
I urge you.
You don't have to play a piano. You can figure it out by looking at it and using it as a reference guide even.
That's what dawned on me. Actually, one night I was, or one day, whatever, I was sitting at my piano. I was going over music theory stuff, and it just all made sense to me. The circle of fourths and fifths, I just came. It was like all the lights came on the piano, like working in keys and things like that, and how it all comes together and why it's important. And I swear by it now.
Yeah. I mean, there's people that will sit down and can't figure out how something works. I've seen it happen where it's just like they'll sit down with one instrument and be like, I can't figure this out, and then they'll hit it on a piano, and then they'll go back to the instrument and be like, oh, this is how it goes. You know, and it's weird because sometimes those like maps will stick with you. I finally was able to like, it's weird because you almost have to envision this theoretical thing in your brain while looking at this key, you know, that's in front of you, and it's so hard to like look at. If you get used to it on a piano, to look at a guitar and then be like, how does it work on here? But after a while, you're like, oh, these are the patterns it would be on a guitar, you know, for whatever key you're in. And
yeah, exactly.
It starts to translate a little bit. It's kind of crazy.
Yep.
I mean, have you like you've always played instruments? You said your dad gave you piano lessons a little bit. Was he like a musical guy as well?
He was a musical guy as well. He was he's kind of a seeker as well. Mm-hmm. So he was like me. He wanted to know why music is working the way that it is. So,
yeah.
You know, and I didn't understand it until I got into music theory, but he kind of said to me one day, he was, you need to get into some music theory classes, because I didn't understand. I'd be playing the trumpet, and I'd go ask, my dad or the band director at the time, Curtis Klein, would say, why does this accidental work here, and why does it not work here? Like 2 notes later, and he'd be like, you're getting into things that I don't have time to explain to you.
Yeah.
Like you need to get into music theory if you want to know the answers of why certain accidentals. So if you're asking those questions out there right now,
You're asking the right questions.
and if you're interested enough, music theory is definitely going to teach you how that works, because I didn't believe in it.
Yeah.
I said people just write music to, they just play what sounds good.
Yep.
And I'm sure that some people do.
Yes.
But it turns out that if you have an interest in something, you desire for a deeper understanding. And a lot of the people that are out there, I know it's mind-blowing, they seek those answers. And I don't want to say that there's rules to how everything works, but there kind of is rules, and how do you break them, and how do you make it sound good? And,
Yes.
so it was a real journey for me, because like I said, I just thought that, all these bands pulled this stuff out.
Yeah, man. And that's crazy, because I feel like that was where I started really getting into things that was almost too deep to understand, but you start to kind of figure out what's going on. It's tough to pull them off like on the fly, but like using things that it's like, I play a lot of blues, and sometimes you find guys in blues where it's just like, why did you just suddenly go to a major, stance there instead of a minor for a little while? And then you start to figure out, you're like, oh, because technically the chord is this, and if you wanted to play the major, it would be this, and that would actually fit technically,
Yeah.
And it's weird, because on the fly it's tough to think about those things. But if you sit, I'm one of those guys. If I sit down and figure it out, I can figure it out. And I feel like it's that curiosity you're talking about. Like, I wanted to know why, like, how could somebody sit down and write a thing for a whole entire orchestra? Like, that just didn't make sense to me, And then after a while, you're like, generally speaking, they're just hitting these chords at these times and then traveling between those chords with these notes.
Yep.
And that's literally the general concept of what music kind of started out to be. So, like, after you start to figure that out, why do some notes sound better with others? And it's cool, man. I wish I understood it more. I wish I had the time to delve deeper into it,
Yeah.
But did you take any classes on it, or did you just like look it up online and kind of research it yourself? Or
I actually, I have a general education degree only in music. I don't have an associate's. I don't have any type of degree actually, but I have an associate's degree worth of music classes from Iowa Central. I dropped out of literally every other class except my music classes. And it's not a point of pride.
No.
It's just, that's what I did at the time. The only thing that captivated me was music. And,
dude, yeah. I mean, that's crazy. I love that people have that amount of like desire and pride to learn music. My desires with music, like I think you and I might have been talking before the podcast, it kind of wavered a little bit. Like, I was in a band in high school, and then I didn't play much in my 20s. I was busy with a whole bunch of other stuff, but then in my late 20s, I kind of come back to it a little bit. Have you ever had anything like that kind of happen with you, where you just kind of, you're in the scene, then you're kind of like, I'm out of the scene? And
music has always, since I started music, especially with the home and the bands that I kind of found, like with the punk rock, it's always been there. Like, I haven't taken a break from that. It's not like I've usually got a song in the works. I'm not saying that I pick up an instrument every day, because I have horrible practicing habits, and but I've generally played in a band since that time.
Oh, cool.
And me and Jared Harp we've played with each other since I was 19, like religiously. Like, we played in a couple bands prior to that when I was like 17, but ever since I was 19, we've played religiously together. And when we haven't played together, I've played with Caleb Ferry and Alex Bird on a project. And,
cool.
There's been, or I played with Jordan Reuter for a little bit. We didn't play any shows, but we would get together and jam out and kind of show each other, whatever we were working on. And or
man.
playing with Trevino, and me and him, Patrick Burr per se, would get together, and Patrick would sit down at the set, and I'd play guitar, and Vino would play some bass, and
Yep.
it's just kind of always been something that's been top priority for me, I guess, because I'm not complete without it.
Yeah.
I got a real void if I'm not playing music, and I haven't felt that void for a long time. Plus, it's such a huge outlet for what's going on for me emotionally, mentally and emotionally. That if I don't have it going on, then I know that like I'm sicker than I usually am.
Yeah.
Not that I'm in bad health, but just my mentality. More people are out to get me, or
I totally get what you're saying, because
Yeah.
it's like I have a job as like a professional, so I maintain a professional standard with everybody I interact with. I do the podcast thing. I'm generally a nice guy to everybody, but sometimes I just want to yell about some stuff, and that's kind of what the nice thing about being in a punk band is it gives me the opportunity to say some things that might be a little, like I will say like this guy sucks or that guy sucks, or like yay politicians or boo politicians or whatever, whatever we're gonna say, and you can just say it on stage and be like, there, got that off my chest. I feel a little bit better about it, and it's kind of nice because music does give me that ability to just give a little bit of an outlet for some of my angst, I guess you could call it. It's lets you get out there and let it all kind of hang out. And have you ever taken any of this music and played it live anywhere?
Yeah, actually, this coming Saturday, we're playing a show at Rides Bar and Grill.
Oh, cool.
Americature's putting on a show, and of course, I can't think of the lineup. I could look it up right now, but
Yeah, man. Tell you what, I'll look it up. But yeah,
let's look that
that's
up real
rides
quick.
rides in Fort Dodge, though, right?
Yeah, Rides in Fort Dodge.
Sweet.
And I'm going to be kicking off that show with. I'm not sure if I'm going to play the whole album, Jack Off the Record, Moment of Clarity, but I know I'm going to play a handful of songs off there.
That's cool, man. I just pulled it up. You even got a Facebook event for it and stuff. So if everybody's out there, check out that Facebook event. That's coming up Saturday, March 7th, by the way, if anybody's wondering what day exactly that is. Switchblade Saturdays, Pawn Shop Kids, the Ashberries. Jack, you are going to be there as Jack Off, and then Americature. So that's 5 bands. Local Art's going to be there as well. Holy crap, this is going to be a good show. So
It's going to be a really good time.
dude, totally worth checking out. And I've been to Rides and actually seen you guys play once, I believe.
We've played a couple of times there.
Yeah, maybe with TV Cop, I believe.
With
that's what I
TV,
think.
yep,
Boom.
yep.
So
I remember that show.
yes, that was a good show.
And actually, the Ashberries are getting back together for this show. I don't know the last time that they played, but I know that'll be a cool thing to watch. I believe Alex Trevino, Riley Purd, and Caleb Ferry are reuniting for this one.
Cool.
So they've got an album out somewhere. I'm not sure where it's at, but good music.
Cool, man.
A group of good musicians playing this Saturday. So
Yeah, dude. That's, I think, one of the coolest parts about the more I jump into that Fort Dodge music scene. It's wild because there's enough of you guys around, and every one of you guys seems to be interested in just making music and curious about it, that you are willing to just like play with anybody with no preconceived bias towards like I don't play this genre, and I don't this guy hangs out with the guy I don't like, I'm not going to play music with him. Y'all just kind of just hang out together and play music, and everybody's pretty positive about everything overall. That's like all I've ever seen, and it's kind of wild. It's not like that's not the case around Humboldt, but Humboldt's small, and there's not a lot of people where I hang my hat, so I don't have the opportunity to like just call people up and be like, hey, come over to my house and jam. It doesn't happen too often. It's really neat that, like, I mean, you were talking about it earlier. Even you had done some of that, as far as I've played in a band with this guy and these guys and this combination of people, and you've pretty much named a lot of people that I've even some I've talked to on the podcast. It's a lot of people that are still making music and out there. It's pretty wild.
yeah, a lot of the people that I've named off. I mean, I got the best group of friends any guy could ask for. I mean, we've all been really tight for a long time. Mm-hmm. So with or without the music, I guess.
Yeah.
Like we'd all be there for. Caleb Ferry just got married, and this just vast group of friends all comes together, and celebrates in music. They got instruments up on the stage and celebrating Laura and Caleb. And like I said, I literally could look around that room, and I've played in a band with Laura Klein's mother.
Okay.
Or, not mother, father.
Okay.
Like we had, of course, I can't, Scarborough Fair. Me and Patrick Kelleher and Jacob Kinkner and Curtis Klein, Joe Svensson, and Mike Richardson, and I'm trying to think, Ryan Crowell. We all jump on for this talent show, played a Real Big Fish cover. You know?
Cool.
I mean, it was really cool. Like Joe Svensson was the choir director, and Curtis and Mike Richardson were the band directors. I mean, what an experience!
Yeah, dude.
We're playing for the population of the high school.
Yeah,
and we sound good.
Yep.
That's the crazy thing is I don't play with I don't want to say that anybody is, but like everybody in my group of friends is a good musician.
Yeah.
Like and we push for each other to be better.
That's what it is.
And that's kind of the joy that there have been times I've been like, yeah, I'm getting pretty good, and I sit down with Caleb and Trevino again, and I'm like, I've still got work to do.
Yeah.
And I sit down with Jared, and we start to hash something out. He gives me something new, and I can't quite do it. And by the end of the time we're writing the song, I'm able to do this new thing I wasn't able to do before.
That's exactly what we were talking about before the podcast. Was like, you can go see a band live, and you can be like, I can't do any of that. I would have never thought to do any of that. It's not that I can't, but like currently right now, I never even seen that before. And it's cool to see somebody doing stuff like that. And you can constantly be learning, and having friends like that in the music scene is indispensable. Whether or not they play shows or not, or do you just want to like sit in a basement and hang out and jam? That's having somebody else there to learn from is indispensable. It doesn't matter who it is; you can always learn something from them.
Yeah.
I started giving lessons to people that are beginner guitarists just to kind of teach them the basics and send them on their way. And it's crazy because I will run into, even kids, adults, older people, and everybody has something that they're like, I'm going to borrow a little bit of something that you're doing that I noticed on this one song that might make it easier, or hey, maybe if you play it this way, it might work out. And it's like, I never would have thought about that, but based on what I can see, it's kind of crazy. A good example would be like playing an A chord. How do you play an A chord? Like an open A?
I hit the
3 fingers.
I use the 3 fingers.
Okay.
Yeah, when I'm playing.
I got fat fingers, so I go 2.
Okay.
But some people use the first 3, and some people use the last 3.
Yeah.
So this is that was like one of those things where you don't realize that until you hang out with somebody else. You're like, oh, you do it this way. And that makes doing the change to this chord so much easier. And it's stuff that you don't ever think about until you watch somebody else doing it. And you're like, I get what you're doing here.
And I think that's kind of, not to stray from the music side of things, but I think that that's a real life thing as well. I'm not always right. Mm-hmm. Is a big lesson I've learned in the past couple years. It's not all about me, A, and B, I'm not always right. I need other people around me that have my best interest in mind to be able to point out the flaw in my thinking.
Yes.
Because facts aren't feelings, feelings aren't facts.
Bingo.
Just because I feel like something is one way doesn't mean that is the reality.
Yes.
And that's something I think that a lot of people, including myself, I'm not pointing the finger any direction, but a lot of people do struggle with is they feel very passionately about something, and sometimes it's just not the fact.
Yes. Well, I think a lot of it, if I can like speak candidly even, is like up until about 5-ish to 7-ish years ago, I had that same thing. I got up to about 22 or 3, and I was just like, dude, the way I feel is the way everyone feels, right? And then after a while, you're like, no, this is not the case. So vehemently not the case.
Yeah.
And then it's this weird moment of like, it's exactly what you said. These feelings I have might not be facts because somebody else might have different feelings, and we could all be looking at the same set of facts. So
yeah,
that's one very important thing to remember. I found that music translates to life so well too. Some of the lessons you learn work out so well with, like, I ask people like, how did you get so good at doing this? And it comes up in almost every podcast, and it's practice. I did it a bunch. I wanted to do it, I had the desire and the curiosity and the passion, you know,
Yeah.
and I put the time in and I did the thing and didn't make excuses, and now I'm this good, you know. It's kind of crazy. That works very well for life, you know, instead of just being like, I'm going to do this, just go out and do it.
Yeah. And I would take that for me as, not, I don't want to say a step further. It's a bad way of putting it, but, also being open-minded to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, cause somebody, it's just what you were just talking about. Somebody like Alex Trevino, who plays ambidextrously behind his head with an upside down instrument.
Yeah,
Like,
a little weird.
It's insane. Yeah, it's insane, and there's a lot of practice that goes into that. But like, he's got such an open. If you have a conversation with the guy, he's got such an open mind about so much. He's not closed off to a whole lot. He's got the ability to listen and to take that feedback and to process it and to apply that.
Yeah.
The application's another big part of it. So if you want to get good at something, like, you hang out with people that are better and you learn from them, you know.
Yeah.
You don't go into it with a mindset that I know what I know and that's all I'm going to know, and my way is the best way.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to learn about how a car works, you'd hang out with mechanics, not dentists. No offense to like dentists / mechanics out there, but
Yeah.
like, you know, there's probably somebody out there that's doing both. But
Yeah,
but
that's true though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely true.
you know, so, and I mean, I had a buddy like a couple years ago that would just sit down here and we'd play stuff and it'd be like, what'd you learn this week? And it's like, I learned how to do this, and it's like, it works because of this, you know. And we start to figure out these kind of things. We just trade things we learn, and then you get to learn twice as much, twice as fast with somebody else sitting down.
Exactly.
And we're having fun doing it, you know. So it's kind of fun. We never sat down and wrote any music together, but we've played a lot of music together. So,
Yeah.
you know, so shout out to Dan Blair. Woo.
Yeah.
But yeah, but having those people around, it's awesome. You know, I'm new to the music scene. I'm new to like all you Fort Dodge guys doing all your stuff up there. But it's cool to go to shows. I've been to a lot of places I haven't been to in years. Like you know, just to see bands play. You know, and I go alone, and it's weird because people are like, you're here alone. I'm like, yeah, I'm here to see these guys. Like, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so it's you know, it's kind of fun. I get to experience a new like friend group and a new group of people, and like I said, to see that all you guys are not actually like judgmental. You guys are all out there, helping each other and just having a good time. I learned that at jam nights. You know, everybody and anybody shows up and they all jump on stage just to make music on the fly for you. You know,
Is that in Barnum that you're talking
the
about?
first time I ever did one was in Barnum. Yeah.
Okay,
And
yeah.
I used to go to Patty's. Otherwise, they used to have, you know, jam nights. Sad face. Patty's is gone, but
Yeah.
you know,
God rest its soul.
yeah, your new jam nights are popping up though. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, keep an eye out for that. Anybody in the music scene. I also got to ask you though, like, not to just like keep shifting gears on you, but like,
You're fine, man. We
dude,
are all good.
dude. Americature. Did I see you guys were playing a show in like Colorado or something? Like, what is the deal? You guys been booking shows everywhere.
Back in November, we did make a trip out to Colorado. It's kind of an interesting, story of all of it. We met our bass player playing with a band called Personal Vendetta,
Oh yeah.
and he travels whichever direction to come be with us. He lives in Boone, so he travels that hour to come play with us every week. But this guy named Josh, he's huge into punk rock. He loves punk rock music, and he really lives the lifestyle. He's got a house that he holds these shows at.
Oh,
He
cool.
calls it the Mutant Slayer. And these shows, he gets bands from. We just got back from Green Bay in Chicago, and this is a band that we played at his place, the Remedies, and they came through on tour. And then there's a band called PCP, People Corrupting People. They were out of Colorado, so we got a hold of them, trying to set up a show with them. They weren't able to make the show, but they got us lined up with some people in Denver. So we started. We made the trek out to Denver and had a great time, and that pushed us to try and get up with the Remedies. You know, but these are all bands that we played out of the Mutant Slayer with.
Oh, cool.
We've played with a band out of Tennessee. We've played with a band out of New York, a really hardcore punk band. But we've just gotten these connections with these bands because of these shows, these house party shows. So if anybody's out there looking for the solution on how to get your music out there, how to have shows, like you are the solution.
Yeah.
Like you do the work, you put in the groundwork, and the results will come to you. I mean, this guy is, he plays shows elsewhere. He'll go, Josh will go play shows at Lefties or the Vaudeville Muse, or he'll come here to play a show if he wants to. But, essentially he's got his house that he ends up reaching out to these bands, or they reach out to him, and he invites them through, and he sets up the show. So it's really DIY, do it yourself. Like put yourself out there, and Field of Dreams was if you build it, they will come.
Yep.
Like,
dude, it totally makes sense too, though. Like that DIY stuff I have found always works out the best. I've played at house shows, and everybody there is always having a blast. They're always doing, everybody's there to support one another. There's almost always a band from a long ways away coming, and it's like, we had an open day on our tour and we're going to be somewhere in here. Can we play a show? And then they can't find a way to book a show, so eventually they just play in somebody's basement. And if you get on one of those shows or go to one of those shows, they're some of the most fun shows to go to, honestly.
Yeah, and really, these shows at Josh's place, the Mutant Slayer, it really is all about the music.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a bunch of kids, with a keg.
Yeah,
everybody's just getting obliterated. There's sometimes some people that are, there to have a few more drinks than necessary.
Yeah, it happens in every scene.
But they here, let me pass this ashtray over to you.
You got it, dude. But yeah, I mean, it's totally cool. Yeah, it's awesome to find those ones. The first time I ever initially went to anything like that was, in the metal scene, and the metal scene is like wickedly supportive of one another. Bands they play with and stuff like that. They're there to do everything they can to put on the best show, and everyone around them is very thankful that it's like happening. It's crazy. I've never experienced anything like that in a club scene. Nothing against the club scene, because it's kind of tough to get the general populace to come in and go that nuts. Not when everybody's like a tight knit group.
Yeah,
but so it's also, I don't know if it has something to do also with just like being in someone's house and you feel like family. Somebody's inviting you into their home and stuff like that. And
I think a lot of it, everything that you just said, kind of all plays into it. I think, let's be really honest. If I'm taking my girlfriend out to a bar, she wants a date night. I want a date night. If I'm taking her out to a bar, I don't necessarily need a band screaming punk rock music. If I want to go see a show, we're going to go see a show. If I'm just looking to go take her out for a couple of drinks and get us some food, and we want to talk and things, like, I'm not going to want to stick around at a show that's going on. I'm going to go find a different bar so that I can, gaze into her eyes romantically and hold a rose in my mouth and do all that frilly shit that comes with having a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens with a lot of these shows, is like almost... not a lot of these shows. I'm generalizing a lot. But when somebody's got a regular bar that they go to, like there's like 20 people that regularly go to the bar.
All the time, every day.
At 6 o'clock.
Yep.
And there's a punk rock show going on.
They're probably going to take off.
Let's kick rocks. We'll rendezvous tomorrow. We'll go to the bar right next door, or whatever.
Yeah, and that happens. One thing I've seen venues do is dedicate a 2-room space where you got like, this is the bar side and that's the music side over there. And there's a door in between them, and it mutes it all just enough to have the bar still be packed, and you can go flip flop between the two, and those are some of the coolest environments, like, Fremont would be a place that comes off the top of my head, down in Des Moines. Otherwise, you got, the Poorhouse in Humboldt does the same thing. It's you just go right outside and it's right there. It's just another part of the bar. So it's kind of cool because you can just go right over and check it out. I'm going to be playing at the Poorhouse later this month. Check it out. No.
Like I said, advertise as much as you can.
Yeah, dude. It's crazy, though. But, like, you got to have the desire, though, like, to go out there and kind of put your name out there and be like, hey, I actually want to play as opposed to just waiting for somebody else to come find you. Like we were talking about that too. It's tough to just sit around and wait because people aren't, people want to know what they should be interested in. That was like one of the appeals of, this sounds weird. So like one of the appeals of like TV was that like there was X amount of shows on and something that somebody else suggested was what you watched. And then all of a sudden it was like internet TV, everything's available. And what do you watch? The same 4 shows over and over again. Everybody does it, So without somebody suggesting you to watch a different show for once, you're just going to sit down and watch 40 episodes of Seinfeld on a Saturday. It's just what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, the last show that we played at Rides, I worked at Mineral City in Fort Dodge for a long time, 12 years.
Cool.
Great food. If you're ever looking for a good restaurant, go to Mineral City. It's
good stuff.
And now I'm working at Harp's Outlet. So if you're ever looking for an appliance, I'm just doing some subliminal advertising. But if you're looking for an appliance, Harp's Outlet.
Believe it or not, I sent somebody there just to look at stuff and they ended up buying something.
Really?
That so but boom. So either way, yeah, it's decent stuff. It's worth checking out.
Cool. Right on.
Yeah.
So we're playing this show at Rides, and I had said, my girlfriend said to a couple people, and I had kind of advertised to my old friends from Mineral City. I'm playing the show. Why don't you come out? And ended up, all of them had a blast. Mm-hmm. They had a great time. They were getting down with the music, and it's like you said, until somebody says something to you, like you want to be a part of this. Like come enjoy yourself. And the other thing is I think people end up being afraid to kind of let loose at a local show.
Yeah.
They don't want, such and such to laugh. And nobody, whether it be in my group of friends, outside of my group of friends, nobody is ever at a show going to laugh at you for getting down.
Yeah. I don't know anybody that's just like, I want to go make fun of some people. I'm going to go to this show and be like, bah, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, go, cut loose, have a couple drinks, enjoy yourself, dance, slam dance. If you got a group of people around you with that are into slam dancing, do some moshing.
Yep.
Let loose until the bartender says, this is getting out of control. If you keep going, we got to shut it down. Yeah, and then keep going, because if the cops come, it's a punk show, man.
That's punk. Nothing's ever been more punk than the cops showing up. No, no, but that's seriously though. It's so much more fun on stage to see other people enjoying the show, and in turn makes you enjoy playing more, so you're putting on what you feel like is a better show. And I played recently in Iowa City at the Yacht Club, and it was one of those things. You show up at the Yacht Club and you're like, oh, there's not that many people here, but by showtime the place is 40, 50 people in the basement of the Yacht Club. And holy shit, this is kind of cool. And everybody's there to listen, and they're all standing up right up close to the stage. It was just like, damn, this is sweet. Having everybody that close to you, like listening and enjoying your music. It's like, I'm gonna do a little bit more moving around, like I'm gonna go over to this side of the stage, I'm gonna go over to this side of the stage, I'm gonna get into this part like really hard because this is one of my favorite parts. And
you start to feel it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's almost like you're giving visual cues too to the people in the crowd, where you're just like, check this part out. This is this part we're gonna get down right here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just totally dig the performance aspect, especially if you have people at a show that are getting that into it. House shows always happens. There's people just having a great time, and you go to those random shows and you're just like, man, these people that are here today just are friggin' loving this. And you're just like, oh man, yeah, I'm into it now,
Yeah. It's
not like you go to shows and you're not as into it either, but I'm sure you've had those shows where like today's like, today's a little bit of an off day. I don't know what the deal is. I'm just not nailing this like I usually do, or something.
I think we all run into it.
Yeah.
For sure. I think we all run into it.
Mm-hmm.
Some days are better than others. Mm-hmm. And it comes back to, it's not always like an off day for music necessarily. Yeah. Sometimes it's just an off day in life. Yeah, generally. Yeah. That can happen. You can be like, I worked all day and then I did this thing and then I drove 2 hours and now it's time to play a show and I'm just tired, And that's what it's going to be sometimes.
Yep. The other fun aspect about that is you can plan that stuff out and be like, I'm going to be tired when I get to this show. And then you show up and all of a sudden a switch hits and you're like, I'm not tired anymore. I'm ready to play music. So it can kind of swing both ways sometimes. It's pretty fun.
That's where I was at in Denver.
Yeah.
Or no, not Denver. Well, yeah, Denver too. That's where I was just at in Green Bay. I mean, I was slow moving all day long. I was having some back pain. I've been having headaches that are just out of this world, man. I don't even want to. We're not even gonna get into it. But I was in that place and for all day long, and then it came time to play, and we're setting up, and that's the energy.
Yep.
Right there.
Yep.
And
you feel it.
Yep.
Yeah. There's also something to be said for knowing that your music is going to be heard by a whole bunch of new people too. It's kind of fun to just be like, check this out. You know, nobody else around here is making this music because we made it. You know, and we came from over there to go all the way over to here to let you guys listen to it. You know, and it's not the music is so crazy. There's so much music online that like these people may not have ever heard of you unless they came to this show and saw this happen. You know, there's so much to be said about, you know, actually physically experiencing a band live and seeing them live. That is, it builds some sort of an attachment to you in that band. You know, it's one thing to ask for a Facebook like, but to have somebody actually enjoy your music and listen to it is a whole nother story.
And that's been my biggest thing with this album is the number of people that have reached out to me that I didn't expect to reach out for me. I mean, these are a couple of people from high school, you know, like
cool.
that I was just like acquaintances with have reached out, you know, even before the album released while I was advertising that it was even coming out. Yo, let me know when that drops and send me the link. And then they get back to me with their favorite song, which is a song I didn't expect.
Yeah.
You know, that's really been the biggest reward for me is not only did they take the time to listen to it, and it's great job on your CD, but it's like they actually have a favorite song that they've listened to.
One more is probably the one I've listened to the most.
Really?
Yeah, believe it or not, I don't know. It's just pick a song and go with it. But that's the one that like, hey, this is the song I'm going to play. Actually, I wonder if we could go to what is the most popular? Burn is the most popular song on that's been played according to Spotify.
Well, that's because usually what they do is they listen to Burn, hear how terrible it is, and then smash their phone because they don't need that juju.
Oh my god!
All over.
Oh my god! No, that's fucking hilarious. There's I haven't dropped an F-bomb on the podcast in a while. Sorry, Mom. No, I'm going to leave it in.
I'm leaving it. It's staying there.
Yes. Oh.
Taking a stand. I see that you have a lime for the listeners out there. I see you as well carry a lime green lighter.
Yes, I do. I don't want to be that guy, but I've got two.
Dude, no way. Are you kidding me right now?
Two.
I've got a mini.
I've got a mini in my car.
Is it lime green?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
This is too crazy.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Kindred spirits.
It was meant to be, everybody. It was meant to be. You know, this is probably one of my favorite parts about the podcast is meeting new people, somebody that I don't know that I would have ever met had we not sat down and done a podcast. Because like I said, I've played shows with you, but interaction is ludicrously minimal, you know, other than being like, extremely. Hey, good job tonight, dude. And it's just like, hey, thanks. You know, what else are you going to talk about? Like, oh, there's a good waffle place around the corner. Or like, did you see the Packers play? Or like, what are you going to talk about? You know, it's tough after shows to really interact with people.
I completely agree. And I don't think it's just a show thing.
Yeah.
I used to run into it. I ran into it with my current girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's like a dating thing. It's like a friendship thing. It's like you meet in this scenario, and now me and my girlfriend have no problem talking about whatever. It doesn't matter. You and me are talking about whatever right now.
Exactly.
But pardon me. But it's definitely when you see somebody or have a conversation with somebody and you spark it off real well, and then that conversation fizzles out. How do you keep that? How do you keep that momentum going?
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Until you spend X amount of time together, you know, whatever that may be, I find it hard sometimes to keep a conversation up and going, you know, because you don't have anything to talk about. It feels like.
Yeah.
You have everything to talk about, but it's a comfortability level. Definitely, I think I don't just open up to, like, anyone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I totally get it. Plus, it's like weird. I don't want to speak just for me, but it's weird getting compliments. I feel like at a show, like when I played with Unity, one of the compliments I got the most, which is I take a lot of pride in, but it's a weird one. It's like, I really like your tone, like your guitar tone, which is something I try really hard to map out. So I try to pick the one I want, and I get it just right, but it's still just like, thanks, man. And then it's like, what do I say from here? Like, where do I go from here? What do I do?
I agree.
And, you just run away and hide now because I don't know what else to do.
Yeah, it's like, do I make eye contact with him? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I agree. I can agree to that tenfold. And I still kind of do this, but I've been working on it. Somebody explained to me, like, I used to be very dismissive of compliments, just because I don't want to say it's you're trying to emulate humility or whatever. Oh no, I'm not that good. But somebody said to me one day, they were like, you should just thank people for their compliments, because kind of telling them, never mind, is dismissing their opinion.
Bingo.
So it really hit me hard, because I've always tried to hold quote. I hate, because I don't really view myself as a humble guy. I view myself as more of an arrogant guy, but I
get the gist. I'm the same way a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough line to walk. But it hit me really hard, because that's not at all my intent to say, not really, but thank you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mean to undermine people's
compliments.
Compliments, but that's really what you're doing.
Dude, I totally get it. It's exactly what we were talking about beforehand, where you just gotta kind of, you don't, the fact is that they enjoyed what you did. And you're going out there with your opinion and trying to undermine the fact that they enjoyed what you did.
Yep, that's it.
And you're trying to say, like, you are not justified to have this opinion, and that makes you less than or something. It's something kind of like that. Because think about it from your aspect. You go to see your favorite show with, let's just make a random famous person. You go to meet your favorite famous person. You're just like, dude, you're such a good guitar player. And they're like, dude, I fucking suck. And then that's like, well, this was abrupt, I just dropped another F-bomb.
Yeah.
But still, it's like, this was abrupt, like, I didn't expect it to go this way at all. But if he was like, dude, thanks, I'm really glad that you enjoy the music that I make. That means so much more than somebody just being like, meh, 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 meh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't know if it's a humility or an arrogance thing. It's just, like, I don't think anybody means to dismiss them when they don't take the compliment. I don't think that's the intent.
I just don't think anyone's used to getting compliments randomly like that. Nobody ever just walked up and says, hey, nice tie, or anything like that. Or like, I like your shoes, and if they do, you're like, this is weird, so you just translate that to playing music, and they're just like, I like this thing. And you're like, oh, that's weird,
Yeah.
So you're just not used to even getting a compliment, generally speaking. It's not that people don't compliment us ever, but it's just the generality of it, I think, translates well to that.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily like a music thing. You know what I mean? Like, I would do the same thing if, somebody said, like, said the same thing about my shoes.
Yeah.
Oh, these old things.
Yeah.
Oh, they're just,
Dude,
just,
nice shoes, by the way, though.
That's it's not really. Thank you, though. Yeah, that was a good joke. That worked out really well. I just think that it's, like you said, I think it's just not being used to hearing compliments.
But here's the other weird thing I'm going to say. Like, isn't it nice to hear them, though? Even though if it is awkward, it's just like, man, it is kind of cool that somebody really liked what I had going on.
Yeah. I appreciate it. And that's really what I've turned to is like, how about you just show them your appreciation that they enjoyed it? And I've been working on that for quite a few years now, actually. Yeah. Turning that kind of self-loathing, arrogantly self-loathing
that's exactly
idea that I have.
Yeah. I deserve to come up here and play music for you, but you don't deserve to like it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Totally get it, dude. I totally get it.
It's like saying, I deserve to go play music, but I'm not good enough to play music for you.
Exactly.
Like,
that was my fear through my 20s. I just thought that everybody would be super judgmental, and that's some fact that I had initially made that wasn't even a fact. It was just like, this is what I think everyone's going to do, and I didn't even get anybody a chance to enjoy anything that I was doing, so I just went stagnant.
Yep. I'm my own worst enemy.
Yeah. And
Obviously.
I feel like a lot of musicians, that's their biggest downfall, but that's also one of their biggest strengths because
Yeah.
they always want to prove themselves wrong still, though.
Well, I think back on college, and we had to dictate a song, either of our own or a cover song. We had to dictate it, and then they were gonna play it on the piano for like our semester final.
Oh, crazy cool.
Theory 1. I had like 16. I did the bare minimum. I had like the bare minimum, 16 bars, and everybody else had these like immaculate, like big things. And I kind of said to the teacher, I was like, mine's not really done. And she kind of laughs and says, Jack, when is our music ever really done?
Ah, there you go.
And that's not what I was trying to say to her. I said, no. I have very little on this composition. She's like, well, hopefully it's all in key. That's essentially what it turned into.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't want to say shameful, but it wasn't. I wasn't definitely not in my prime. I wasn't shooting for A's, if you will.
But learning experiences like that are big though too. Like I harken back to when I played a show in high school, and it was one of those deals where if you get everybody in your high school together, there's always going to be a small group of people that are just too cool for school. I was sort of in that group, but I was, kind of not in that group. But if you go out there, play music for people, and there's people that obviously have contempt for it in the crowd, and it's just like, you can hear these people like laughing, at the fact that we're out here just playing music, stuff like that, where it's like, was it the fact that we weren't good? Because I mean, it was like the first time any of us had ever performed, or is it, what exactly is it? So it always made me like want to get better. So some of it had to do with like a little bit of that judgment, but it's also like, I'm not going to go out there and suscept myself to that again. I'm going to make sure the next time I, bring the thunder or whatever, go out and spend more time practicing, learning, and figuring out what's going on.
Yeah. It's anybody kicking off. And that's a terrible mentality too. And I think it's real child. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like kids are just terrible at it. I heard somebody once say kids are really good at telling you that you're not good at something or that you are this way. They just tell you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's a very it's not their fault.
No.
It's not kids' fault.
No, like I said, I did the same thing sometimes,
exactly.
Just in different scenarios.
Yeah, like but as you grow up and you get older, and because now, if I heard a group of kids playing music, whereas back then, if I heard some kids that were younger than me, mm-hmm.
just
learning, it's you almost, God, it's so terrible to say, but it's just how kids are.
Mm-hmm.
You almost do laugh at them.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You do laugh at them.
Yep.
Because, and now that I'm older, there's absolutely no way that I would laugh. And in fact, I would probably support them the most of any bill that I play with is the kids, to give them that drive to want to do better and because as a kid as well, you most of the time you suck.
Yeah.
You know that you're terrible. You know that you're just picking it up and
kids are bad at everything.
Yeah, and you're putting yourself out there.
Yes.
And with your peers, like the kids as well, like if I was in 8th grade again, like and all the 8th grade kids were laughing at me, that's just what kids do. You know what I mean? But the older ones are the ones that are supportive as a general rule because they're grown up, they get it and things like that. So
I think a lot of that just comes with like part of the journey to realize that like you go through these phases and you have these phases, like, oh, when I was a kid, a lot of it comes back to, like I said, in different scenarios, I was judgmental, just like all these people that I'm talking about that were judgmental of my music. So it's not like I was literally any better than I was the same little kid they were in a different area. Cause I was just like, let's just throw it in. Science is dumb or like whatever it is, and you're just like, dude, the world needs scientists. Just shut your face hole, and then you grow up and you're like, I was just a stupid kid or whatever. Even like just picking music, you're like, this music sucks. And it's like, well, that music obviously doesn't suck. I hang my hat a couple times on here. I've talked about like Bob Dylan's not my favorite, but if you were like, Bob Dylan doesn't write good music, you're dumb. Like it just doesn't make sense to as an adult to be like, Bob Dylan sucks. But I mean, I've had a few of those, like Def Leppard was another one, like, these guys are terrible. And it's like, dude, these guys are awesome because every part of their song is like the chorus, they just kept writing hit after hit. They had so much hits, they smushed them into one song.
And that's what it is it's like, I can't suck too bad.
Yeah.
Because look where they're at.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Plus, I don't know. That another part of it just comes down to like the humility of a lot of it too, where you're just like, I think I've got music kind of figured out, and it's like, all right, let's see if you can write something like Def Leppard writes. It's like, no, I can't.
yeah.
No, I can't. So there's something to that. I'm just like, I'm wowed by the width, the wide berth that music covers, and you get like even in just like a local area like around here, you can see so many different styles of music. Country to blues to rock to metal to punk to you name it. One guy with an acoustic guitar, full band with lights and the whole 9 yards. It's all here. So
Yeah. And the other thing, I guess, for anybody that happens to be listening that wants to pursue something with music is just because you picked it up and you don't feel like you're very good at it, doesn't mean that that's your niche. Like, if you want to be a rapper and you don't feel like you're very good at rapping, maybe you're more of a poet.
Yeah.
Maybe I had a lot of friends that did a lot of things in music before they found their niche. Tristantric, my buddy Tristan Clark, he kind of went through this. He was making his own beats thing, and then he went through this. He was kind of trying to be a songwriter thing, and then he went to this trying to be a rapper kind of thing, and now he's had huge success playing as a DJ.
Cool.
And he's got a ton. I shouldn't say a ton of followers, but he's got a following on Facebook, and he's playing shows all the time. He's playing festivals. So
cool.
Tristantric. He's got some good stuff. Check him out on Facebook. But he found this niche, after years of trying to find where he fit in. So I urge you to keep searching, find your niche, find what fits you, find where you're comfortable.
Yeah. I mean,
because he's just blossomed into this. It's fun to watch him on Facebook. He's really having a good time. So.
Yeah, I mean, you can go from one instrument to the next. You can go from genre to the next. It really doesn't matter. There's no rules to any of this, really. Like you said, you can play all the instruments. I know a lot of people that I've had on here like, well, I started playing drums, but now I play guitar and I sing and songwrite. And it's like, it's cool to see everybody's got a different journey, which lets you know, like I said, there's no rules. You can do things and think like, well, I'm gonna try something different, and you might find something that absolutely sticks with other people or yourself, internally, where you're like, I'm actually good at this thing. I never would have tried, picking up a ukulele, but I did, and wham, now I'm really good at the ukulele or something like that. It doesn't have to be the genres and the things that you see either. You can go out on your own and do your own thing, and that's cool in itself because now you're an individual. You're very unique in the scene for what you're doing. Like you said, like it'd be so cool if we had shows around Fort Dodge and, northern Iowa where there were people playing like, electronic music or rapping or things like that. I think it'd be kind of neat if you had something like that going on,
Kind of festival-y.
Yeah, something,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It takes so much to pull off stuff like that. The deeper I look into like putting on music shows, like outside of venues, it's like, oh no, you need like all sorts of permits and things like that. That's not.
It's not cheap.
No. But
and the other thing is getting people to show up.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how long it took to get 515 alive or 8035. That's the festival I'm trying to think of, 8035, to get it to the point that it's at now. But 8035 is a huge event in Iowa.
Yep.
I've never personally been.
No, me either. But
I would say it's not necessarily like exactly my cup of tea.
No, me either. But still,
but I think it's great that people have. That's an event that people really look forward to.
Yeah, man.
I've been at a kind of the drinking and scene for a while, and I still hear people, that aren't really drinkers. These are functions that are bigger than just going and getting a bunch of drinks in you.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I mean,
yeah.
It's weird because like I think about that internally a lot. Like I play a lot in bars and things like that, and a lot of those scenes, like we were talking earlier, might just have a bar with a whole pile of regulars there that are there to also enjoy music, and they're there, to drink. And I don't drink, currently, so it's one of those weird deals where I kind of feel like an outcast. And am I an outcast here? But It's lately it's been getting kind of wild. I've seen a lot of people at shows drinking sodas and waters and things like that because it's just like, yeah, it's just inconvenient to drink, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm just not going to do it. That's pretty much what it is for me. I don't want to have a drink at a bar and then drive 2 hours back. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I just don't drink. So I don't know. Just it's kind of weird though. But it's crazy. 80/35 has gotten so huge, and a lot of it I think lies in the fact that they just kept doing what they knew they should do, and it all worked out the way it should have. You know, like it's if you find something and you're good at it, stick with it and just keep doing it, and eventually, you know, if you build it, they will come.
If you build it, they will come.
And there it is. And you know, that's kind of like the beauty of this podcast. I just every week I try to get somebody else on here just to talk to people, and now it's getting to the point where there's people that are listening to podcast episodes with people they never thought they would have, you know, listened to, and they're learning all these different things about all the different genres of music, and they didn't even know were going on in their area, and they're finding all these people that are like, oh, I've seen this guy at shows, now I know a little bit about him, and now I don't have to be weird about going up to him and saying hi like we were talking about. I actually know a little bit. You got it in now, everybody. You don't have to be weird. I heard you on the podcast, you know, heard you guys were talking about this. I think this, and then boom, you're off to the races.
Yeah.
You got something now. So
Got something for that point of conversation.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I mean, it's really cool because I never really thought there would be, you know, as many people as interested as there are. And the music scene is way more supportive than for some reason I just thought it was. When I was sitting at home in my basement, I was like, nobody's going to like music if I play it, you know. And you actually go out there and they're like, everybody friggin' loves this. Everybody does.
Yeah. And another big thing is owning it.
Yeah.
You know, my mother instilled, my mom and dad, my mother and father, instilled in me, don't stop. Mm-hmm. You mess up, don't stop. Oh. And any performer will tell you that's been around the ringer. Just don't stop.
Yep.
If you hit a sour note, play it twice.
Yep.
Is what Paul Bloomquist taught me. He said, if you play a sour note, play it one more time. And it won't be a sour note anymore. It'll be intentional.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
That's one of the best lessons I ever learned. Because it's also true. If you hear it twice in a row, it wasn't a mistake.
It's as weird as it sounds. For some reason, that makes a large amount of sense. Even if it shouldn't, it does. It's so weird. I still recall like when I was really young and they did that, and you like even as a youngster knew like, ooh, that wasn't right, and then they like did it again. You're like, for some reason now it fits.
Yeah, for some reason now it fits.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's ludicrous. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like you said, as much as it shouldn't fit, it does.
It does now. Yep.
Yeah. So that's those are the two biggest things: is DIY and don't stop.
Yep.
Just keep playing the song. Who cares if your voice cracked? Nobody's going to remember the fact. Everybody will remember if you quit playing that song. Mm-hmm. I had
100%.
I had one of the worst. I was playing at McSweeney's School of Music, and I had the worst show of my life. I don't even think I played like one full song, and I could not get traction to play another one. I just quit. I just quit playing. I just walked off stage.
Oh wow, jeez.
I was freshly 21 or something like that. So.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was laughable, but but if you talk to if you look up videos on people starting off performing, whether it be stand-up comedy, poetry, or music, they've always got a story like that where the stand-up comedian did not get one laugh on stage.
But that comes back to what we were talking about. You're not going to be good at anything when you first start out doing it. So you got to just start somewhere. I remember the first time I played a show with Three Finger Betty, I was so nervous. And it's like you're playing at the Fremont to like 40 people tops. Just tone it down a notch, buddy. You know, and you show up there and you just play it and you get done with it. And after a while, you get more comfortable. And if there's some videos of like me playing some of my first shows somewhere on one of the YouTube pages that I run, but it's funny. You watch every track and I'm in the same spot. I don't move, you know, and you just got to get comfortable with it. You got to get comfortable with where you're at. Kind of like getting comfortable with getting the compliments. You know, you're just in foreign territory. And I think that's some of the beauty of it is just stepping outside of that comfort zone to do something, you know. That's one of the things that makes music so fun is you get to put yourself out there, you know.
Yeah.
Check out this new thing I made. What do you think?
Yeah. And it's like you just said, getting out of the comfort zone is such an important thing. So I just traveled 20 minutes to come sit in a dude's basement that I have no idea.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of weird that you have plastic all over the walls and a couple buzzsaws laying in here. I'm not sure what's going to happen after this. But
Fake news. It's fake.
that's not true at all.
No. I actually cleaned up before you came here. I feel pretty good about it. Should have seen the place this morning when I woke up. It's garbage all over.
No, I would have never guessed that. But getting out of that comfort zone is where the growth takes place. Stagnation is, I think, something that plagues just our world today. Is you end up in a place where you're complacent and you become stagnant, and your growth just kind of fizzles out. You know, the beauty of music and the beauty of being surrounded by people that do music is that the self-growth and the self-reflection, and it's always there, and it's kind of always underlining everything in your life. Because as a musician, you know, like, the growth doesn't stop. You don't reach a point, you know, the more you know, the less you know.
Yeah, the what is it? As the shores, what is it? No, as the island of your knowledge grows, so does the shores of your ignorance.
Yeah.
There you go.
I've never heard that before, but I'm going to stick that one in the back pocket.
I think Neil deGrasse Tyson tries to lay claim to that, but I believe somebody else said it before him. But it's still a good one. I'm sure somebody said something kind of like it.
Yeah.
The brighter your star burns with whatever. It's the same concept.
Yeah, exactly.
It totally makes sense, though, because I think that's what it is. Once you start learning stuff about music or literally anything, you're just like, I actually don't know too much about this at all.
Exactly.
Which should drive you to want to learn more.
And the people that know the most about are the most knowledgeable. Neil deGrasse Tyson is a good example of that. Is going to be one of the people that tells you he knows the least.
There's a ton of stuff he doesn't know.
Yeah, for everything that I know, there's like 10 things that I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like the shores of the ignorance. You know, you go backwards on that scale, and it comes back to feelings aren't facts. So many of us are very opinionated on things, and we don't actually have any facts to back that up. That there's no knowledge there. You know, but we think that we know what's best, when really it's the least ill-informed. And I'm that way about a lot of things. You know, I feel very passionately about things, and I've got a couple buddies that'll, you know, shut me down. You know.
Yeah, and I think don't quote me on this, psychologist, but I think it's just like confirmation biased. It's like whatever I think is probably fact, and it's probably just what everybody else thinks. It's like a thing that I think everybody has.
Yeah,
just a little bit of it somewhere in there, you know. And I get it. It's just it's weird to be in that spin cycle and just keep doing it, and then all of a sudden, like, you just get flung out of it, and you're like, oh, holy cow, I was just in a rut there for a while, musically, in life, whatever it happens to be, and once that switch happens, you're kind of like, I'm not going back to that area where I was at. And I feel like as people grow, I feel like everybody kind of goes through that. Like you said, everybody in their teenage years was kind of just meh about something, you know?
Yeah.
It didn't matter what it was. Everybody picked their favorites and then didn't like their non-favorites in everything. So, but yeah, I think that's the coolest thing about musical growth. Like when I first started playing, like what was some of the first stuff you played on guitar when you first started playing?
Oh man, I might get slighted for this, but I learned a lot of Green Day stuff and Blink-182 stuff, and the first songs that I learned were actually Beatles songs. My dad had a Beatles songbook, and
nice.
You know, just like the chords, you know, G, C, and D, and E minor. You know, you can write songs all day with those four chords, and that's kind of where I kicked off from. And then I think I want to say my first real punk rock album was All Killer No Filler from Sum 41.
Dude, I spun that album so much.
So many times. But that was kind of my first, like, that was my first, oh, you're already lit. So that was like my first, like, there's music like this. I love this.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't really have Like, I loved the Beatles. I like the 60s stuff.
It
And
was stuff that you found on your own that you knew you enjoyed.
And it really hit hard with me. I think my buddy Connor Patterson was he was a huge fan of Blink-182 and Sum 41, but he liked Blink-182 just I think a little bit more. Either that or I got it backwards and it was his brother Zach Patterson. I can't remember. But they liked the other one more and they swore by that. But when they showed me Sum 41, it just hit so hard with me. And I mean I felt like a new person walking into school that year because I had found this and then I was introduced to like I think American Idiot was my next big one, and that kind of it kicked down the door for me, and I fell in love with all of Green Day's stuff, and then I found like the more swear by elitist quote unquote punk bands that people like, oh, Green Day sold out, but I love NoFX, and Rancid and things like that, Pennywise, and right now I'm on a direct hit kick. I can't get enough of direct hit.
Cool.
They're a Fat Records band, but such good albums.
Send me a message to remind me so I don't forget, even though we're recording it. It's in the podcast.
No, it's totally fine.
Because I want to check it out. Because like you said, I grew up and it was just like, dude, I like Newfound Glory is my favorite band ever, and then you're like, oh, there's some stuff way down deep in the catalog of some of these recording labels that punk was known for, like these compilation albums with all these different bands on them and stuff, and you start to say, dude, Alkaline Trio kills it, and you start to like pick out like different stuff. My buddy Tom Hanrahan, shout out Tom, he was like one of the first people that was just like, you got to check this music out and that music out. But he was also one of the first people that was like the least judgmental about music, because he's like, I'm going to listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers too, and he just picked stuff and he liked it, and
that's how my buddy Christian McCoy was. Shout out to Christian. I've got a lot of people I should probably tag in when I throw out that I'm doing this podcast, but it's like him. My first band was called Attempt, and they kind of broke off and had Leaving Carol. I don't know if you have heard of. This is years ago. This is like 10, 12 years ago that all this was going on, and they all had a real eclectic. Nick Jones, Matthew Prince, and Christian were a lot more. They had a lot more eclectic taste in music than I did, because I was real, like I said, militant about punk rock and things like that. You ask me today, Ed Sheeran's one of my favorite songwriters right now. I love Passenger. I think Adele's a great songwriter. I like the poppy stuff, but it's a reflection of how good of songwriters they are.
Exactly. There's
stuff on the radio I cannot get down with. I'm not saying that I like everything on the radio, but the ones that write catchy stuff, I love it because there's something about the catchiness to it that, I feel like it was done right. And
some of that harkens back, like we said, is just the appreciation that these guys actually put the stuff together in the pattern they did to make it work the way it should. And I didn't do that. And that's why it's cool, is because they did it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of took me a lot of years to learn the lesson from them that they were trying to teach me at the time is there's more to music than punk rock music, and I'm glad I've learned the lesson now. Because what you'll hear on my album isn't all straight up, punk rock or reggae. There's a lot of folksy stuff to it, and good music is good music. Just because it's not your cup of tea doesn't mean it can't be mine, and it doesn't mean that we can't quote unquote party together. There's such a love in music that it's unreal.
I think it's fun because I also feel like punk might be one of the genres where it's just like, throw in some country, I don't care. Like, you can just toss in a little bit of whatever you want. A good example of that, to give another local favorite a shout out, would be Hold for Swank's new album. They got some song, Same Old Honky Tonk. I'm going to look it up since I'm here, but yeah, they throw some like southern twang in there, and it's really kind of fun. Let me look it up. Hold for Swank. Oh, man. I'm going to look it up. New album. There it is. The stuff that contradicts the other stuff. This Old Honky Tonk. I wasn't far off. It's the last song on their album, their new album that came out. And it's a little bit country-ish, but it still has that punk feel, which is crazy because I get to, like you said, you can incorporate so much more than just something that defines your genre.
Yeah. And you find that with kind of nowadays country,
Yeah.
they're
Oh, yeah.
throwing the EDM stuff kind of into the mix. I don't even know if I want to call it EDM, but they're kind of mixing the techno-esque
Yep.
things into the country music. I listen to country music all day. That's usually what we listen to while at Harp's Outlet.
Yep.
So like we've said a couple of times, if you haven't found your niche yet, continue searching.
Yeah.
Because you can make whatever you want out of whatever you want with music.
Yeah, like anymore, especially with the internet, go start searching for something. If you have like the wildest idea about like, I want to start a band that sounds like this, Google it, you'll find it.
Yeah.
Like there's no way, there's no rules to be like, you can't put a flute in a band, like Jethro Tull, is that right? That's right. I think that,
Flogging Molly?
yes. I mean, you can just throw them all out. I mean, you can, trumpets and trombones and saxophones belong in a band, a la anything ska. You mentioned Real Big Fish. You can go less than Jake. And it doesn't matter. Like, it all works.
Yeah, you will find your calling,
Yeah.
if you will, because it's all there. I've got a lot of rap music liked on that I didn't even know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know. I just went through and liked a whole bunch of rap music on my Spotify when I first got it. So my liked songs popped up, and I hit shuffle on that, and I'm coming across things that I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool. And it's stuff that I haven't listened to. I just went through and I liked all this stuff.
Yep.
I just sat for like 2 hours liking just every artist I could think of. I like their discography. Mm-hmm. And now I'm going back through and I'm listening to the stuff, 7 years later or 6 years later. And, you'll find the mixes of whatever you so desire.
Yeah, you bring up rap, and I remember being younger and being more militant about the kind of music I liked, and just being like, rap sucks, and someone's like, there's good beats in there, and you're like, yeah, there is.
Yeah,
and like,
whoops, I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, exactly. You just like you want to crap on everything when you're younger, or at least I did, and then somebody gives you a good point, and you're like, oh, and like just like a one sentence good point, and you're like, oh, that refuted everything I thought, because that's actually a fact. You know?
It completely just. My buddy Joe Seca, shout out to Joe Seca. He hands me. It started with my buddy Ethan Healy, because I was same militant. Rap sucks, this, that, and the other. He hands me the 36 Chambers Wu-Tang Clan. Mm-hmm. Completely changed my entire outlook on hip hop. Yeah. And then my buddy Joe Seca, he was like, oh, you like the 36 Chambers? Gives me like, because it was the only, I was like, I like Wu-Tang Clan. And he was like, okay. He gives me like the discography of all of their first albums, like Inspector Deck, Old Dirty Bastard. Yep. The Jizza, the RZA. Yep. And I loved all of it. Yeah. I thought it was all great. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And just because you can't... That's another thing, and I think this will hit on the head with you as well, but just because you can't relate to some kind of music doesn't mean you can't like it. Exactly. Like, I can't relate to the gangster rappers that have had like the hard gun-wielding, drug influenced past.
We didn't grow up in a gang place. But we grew up in middle America where it's nice, and it's not our fault. Yeah. But that doesn't mean you can't like what they're saying and doing.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. You know what I mean? Like
nailed it.
So like you're welcome to like whatever music you want, and I think it's one of the only things that on the face of the earth where people don't care. Yeah. People don't care. We got such liberal and Republican arguments going on right now, and not one of these liberal and Republican arguments are saying, but country music's better. Yeah. Yeah, man. Nobody cares. Nobody is telling you shouldn't spend this much time in office because of the music that you listen to, or you shouldn't be in this service industry because of the music that you listen to. Music brings people together. Mm-hmm. It's very seldom something where it tears them apart. I've been to one show one show I think in my life where we were at Riot Fest and NoFX was played. It was our first time seeing NoFX. Like there's a group of like 8 or 9 of us, and my buddy's younger brother who's not militant at all. Stephen Crowell, shout out to Stephen Crowell. But this dude starts being like, he's not punk enough to be here. He's not punk enough to be here. And like all of us, plus like a couple other people that heard what was going on, kind of jumped this dude's ass. Like, you're drunk, dude. Like, knock it off.
Yeah.
So very seldom, I'm sure it's the same way. I've never been to a country music concert. I've never, been to a whole lot of EDM concerts, but you can tell, especially in the EDM scene, how much they come together.
Yeah.
And I know when I go to Riot Fest, how all of us come together.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing, man.
I think taking a lot of that at face value too is just like, well, this is just coming from somebody who had too much to drink or doesn't, whatever. They're just short-minded. You just like, it's like you were talking about. You can like whatever you want. So when I like music and I go online and see somebody explicitly say like, I don't like this kind of music, and you're like, I do. Like, I don't care if you don't like it.
Yeah.
That didn't change my mind at all.
Yeah, exactly. I was just my buddy just got country. She's gonna go see a country music band on her birthday. Mm-hmm. Her boyfriend bought her tickets. She sends me the message, and I just said, I would never in a million years take you to a country music concert. I'll take my girlfriend wherever she wants to go. She wants to go see a music concert. I'll take Elizabeth Segura. Shout out to Elizabeth Segura. I probably said her last name wrong. She'll bust my balls about that. But I'll take her to wherever she wants to see. But I'd tell this girl, I will not take you. I would never. And I was pretty crude about it though. I was a lot meaner than I want to be, than I want to share on this podcast. You're dropping F-bombs. I'm not sure if what I told her is appropriate.
No, but still though, it's like, you're not going with her though. So like,
exactly,
what you said doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she quit responding to me when she.
But yeah, it just comes right back down to like, it doesn't matter if somebody else doesn't like the thing you're doing. You can still go like the thing you're doing. That's music. That's any hobby you have. That's pretty much anything in life. You can kind of just go out and do just about anything as long as you have a justified reason for it.
Yeah. It comes down to being autonomous and true to yourself.
Yes.
You have to know yourself well enough to know that whoever that says whatever doesn't actually matter.
Yeah.
Who cares if the whole world is mean to me about playing punk rock music, because that's one of my values. I play punk rock music with a punk rock band, and if people don't like it and they don't like the screaming and they think that the fast beats are annoying, and well, to hell with them. Yeah. This is what I do. And there's a lot that comes with that anonymity.
Yes. I feel like though, like when you're younger, you feel like a lot of things define you, but when you grow up, you realize they don't define you. For example, like nobody's going to judge me for playing in a punk band that yells a bunch of dumb stuff on stage, because I work like in an office setting, and everybody in my office knows that that's not actually like me as a person. They know that like I'm a professional person, and everybody's interested in what I'm doing still. It's not like they're coming to see me live, which I don't blame them. It's not their favorite kind of music. It all comes down to just like understanding everything and being understanding in all that aspects of life. But it comes from personal growth. That comes from just more experience. And I feel like with a lot of the conversation we've had today, it tied a lot of music and life together, because I feel like they just walk hand in hand, Yeah. It's there's a lot of weird parallels that go on that sometimes you will just sit back on a drive home from a show and just be like, huh, that's kind of neat that this thing happened, It kind of reminds me of this other thing, and
it's the journey. I think one of the biggest things about music to me is the dissonance and resolution. and if you want to look at it from a political standpoint, it's the anarchy to order. If you want to look at it from the life standpoint, it's the rough times to the good times.
Yep.
It's the dissonance and the resolution. And I think that's why music is such a good example of how life goes, because there are certain chords that create such a dissonance, and the way that they resolve is the order.
Yeah. It'd be like reading a book up into the thing that's supposed to happen and then just quitting like 3 chapters.
Exactly.
From the end. It doesn't make sense. You have to have the ending. It doesn't make sense without the ending.
Yeah. So when you're going through life and you're going through those rough times, it's just like you're listening to sappy songs all the time, because for some reason when we're in sappy moods, we listen to sad songs.
Yeah.
Because why don't we want to be sadder? Let's
of course.
Let's be really sad instead of just sad.
Yep.
But there comes that time where finally, and you don't. It's kind of weird. You don't. You almost don't see it coming. You don't. It's not like you wake up one day and you're like, okay, tomorrow is finally the day where I'm going to feel better. At least I've made it this far. It's like you get 2 weeks into it where you are feeling better. And then that thing that's, like you got broken up with or whatever. And that carries with you after a 7-year relationship, that carries with you for 6 months. And then 2 weeks after that, 6 months, you're like, I haven't thought about her in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And you didn't plan that.
Yeah.
You just know that you've been depressed for so long, and you've been listening to Hawthorne Heights and Simple Plan for so long until you just kind of bounce back and you realize that I'm back. Nobody plans a bad time, and nobody plans the resolution of that bad time. And I think when you're writing music or listening to music, you can there's a little bit of control there. You can plan, how you're writing it, where you want the dissonance, where you want the resolution, and how do you want this song to be? Do you want it to be a reflection lyrically of a good time, and melodically as a sad time?
Yeah,
you can kind of put that combination of things into there, and
that's fun.
Yeah, you could. It's
dude.
It's beyond this world. I mean.
The first time I ever really thought about any of that happening from a music standpoint was to think like the Allman Brothers play blues, but most of it's kind of in a major key.
Yeah.
For the most part. And it's like, I didn't even think that was possible. But like, why isn't it possible? Like,
yeah. Why not?
Yep.
I remember I wrote a song called Mankato. It is a ska song. I wrote it for my first girlfriend ever. We dated for all of like 11 months or something like that. Whatever. I was 19.
Yep.
I think she still lives in the Humboldt area. But I remember she broke up with me, and the song that I was writing was so happy. And then I brought it up to my Paul Bloomquist at the time. I said, let me dictate this, and we'll play it for the last show of the year, and we'll play it after everybody's done performing with the jazz band. And he bought into it. My mom thought it was going to be this sad, depressing song because of what had happened. And it's kind of a fanfare. Like, it was more the celebration of celebration of love, I suppose. It's like the least sappy song that I've written. A lot of fun, and when you play it with a jazz band and it's kind of this party, it kind of blindsided my mom because she thought it was gonna be like, oh no, you broke my heart. Yeah, because that's how we get. Like we just said. Do you want it to? How do you want your music to reflect? Is it gonna be a reflection of the good times that are going on in your life, or is it gonna be a reflection of those times that will end up passing? Bad times have not come to stay.
Yeah.
They've come to pass, man.
But I mean, that's brilliant though. Cause I mean, now that as you were saying all that, I was thinking to myself, but that is like literally how it all works in real life. Was like, if you date someone for a long time and then you break up, you're just like, oh, this sucks, but it was so much fun hanging out with this person. And you have both of the emotions at the same time.
Yeah.
So why not just spit it out there musically?
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It really is, a lot of this conversation reminds me of one of my favorite Schopenhauer quotes, not to just get all Fraser Crane on everybody. But
You're all good with me, man.
But life swings like a pendulum between sorrow and boredom. So that's like your dissonance to resolution and dissonance to resolution. You know, when you're resolved, it's that stagnancy that we're talking about where you want to create some sort of a dissonance to, you know, go back to a resolution. Whether that's in your own life, a good example would be just to like better yourself. I'm going to put myself in outside of my comfort zone to learn a new thing, and now I have resolution because I learned this new thing. You know, and you go back and forth, and you just keep doing that.
I had a direction I was gonna run with that because I really liked where you said, creating the dissonance. Mm-hmm. That's that uncomfortability. You know, that's where the growth takes place. That's the exciting thing about life, is where the growth takes place. Mm-hmm. You know, one of my favorite things to do right now, and my girlfriend's name is Elizabeth. My favorite things is to sit down either lay down in bed or on the couch and to veg out and watch something with each other and just enjoy each other. And either the movie's really crappy or really good. We finished a movie last night and all we did was slam on it for the last like 5 minutes. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. Not like belittling it or anything, but it was just kind of a weird movie. It didn't hit either one of our spots.
Sometimes it's fun to go Mystery Science Theater 3000 on something, you know?
Yeah, and I love that just relaxing and things. Because I've never been very good at sitting still. Yeah. So like I've always been kind of go, and I've been taking a lot of time to just like slow down a little bit. I don't have a lot of that dissonance that's going on in my life right now. I just enjoy relaxing, and now, you know, since that's been going on a couple of months, I kind of feel like I'm getting stagnant again. Yeah. Like I don't have anything going on, so I need something that's gonna bring me up out of that. Not out of that slump, but
I know exactly what you're saying. You want to stay busy, but then you're so busy that you want to take a break. And when you take a break, you're like, I should be doing something. Yeah, it's exactly that.
Yep. Know? I just started a new job. I had a lot of accomplishments last year. I finished recording this album. I ran my first half marathon and my first marathon.
Cool. Congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah. Me and Trevino actually ran the same marathon. He ran it last year as well. I can't remember what it's called now. But I switched careers. I was the manager at Mineral City, kitchen manager for Mineral City last year. So just a lot of things that were different in my life. And now when I look back on 2019, it's probably my biggest growing year that I've had. Yep. After being in kind of a dark place for a little bit of time. And now that 2020's here, I wish that I had been playing more shows, and now, you know, I think back to 2019, we went to Denver, you know, like we started traveling out of state with the band, and now I'm kind of at this new place where I'm like, so what's next? Yep. You know, so I start reaching out to, you know, you to do podcasts.
Well, there's no reason not to. I always think that's kind of funny because remember when 2019 ended, you get on social media and everyone's like, 2019 sucked. And I think the only reason people think it sucked was because everybody was really uncomfortable and a lot of growth happened. That's like where I was like, yeah, like for some reason I felt like my 2019 was awesome, even though I finished school at one place, started a job, started going to school at another place, you know, and started playing, you know, really ramping up the podcast. Everything I did a lot of stuff, and it was really I was always busy. I was never in the same spot twice, you know, and it was a lot of doing stuff, sitting down with people I'd never talked to about things I'd never thought I'd talk about to anybody with, you know. It's kind of crazy. Like that growth that happens this is all coming right back full circle to everything we've been talking about this whole time, but it's what it is, man. It's being uncomfortable, making those growth things in your own life happen, whether or not they're musically, whether or not they're personally. It's kind of nice to be able to actually make that shit happen.
Yeah. And I think I'll speak for myself because I don't want to speak for the whole world on this, but when I'm not doing something, it's my own fault.
Yeah, totally.
You know, if my year sucks, it's because my year, you know. Yep. It's because I chose to have a shitty year. When I have a shitty day, I chose to have a shitty day. I chose to let, whatever Peter said to me affect me.
Yep.
It's because I allowed what my boss said to affect me that way instead of taking the corrective measures, because generally, work's just going to be my example right now. But work, somebody's going to correct you if you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yes.
And you can't get mad at them.
Nope.
Because I just said it. I did something wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
The other day, somebody said, hey, is this refrigerator sold? And I was like, yeah. And he pulls out his marker and he writes sold on it. It's my job to write sold on the receipt so that people know
Makes sense. Yeah, okay.
that they're sticking it on there.
Yeah.
And, I can choose one of two things. I forgot to write sold on it. My bad. Not a big mistake.
Yep.
Or I can get all huffy because he corrected me about it.
Mm-hmm.
What's he supposed to do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
boss, exactly.
If somebody owns a company,
yeah, they expect you to do the thing that the company is set out to do.
That's right. Yeah.
These are the things we're supposed to do as a company. You should probably go.
Yeah. If
do them.
if you're not living up to those expectations, or if somebody's a jerk to me, this is one thing that I was talking to somebody. I can't remember who I was talking to about, but that's not a reflection. If I'm a jerk to you, like if I just totally twisted right now and started being a total asshole to you,
Yeah.
That's not a reflection of you.
Yeah, true.
That's a reflection of me.
Yeah,
And
that's very true.
How you choose to react to that will be the reflection of you.
That makes sense.
And it's something that we all know. I don't have to let that impact me to a point because it's not my problem.
Exactly.
That's, well, if you were a jerk to me, that's not my problem that you were a jerk to me. I can choose to make it my problem.
Yeah. Dude, a lot of this actually rings true, and I never thought about it too much until I was doing a podcast with Travis Atkinson, and you can actually go back and listen to it if you're enjoying this one so far. That's another one that kind of took the same turn. He said, if somebody does something and it affects you and you're being negative, if you externalize it, you're actually affecting other people. His example was, imagine you're at the grocery store and you got a band t-shirt on, and the guy in front of you or person in front of you, whoever, really likes that band. If you have an angry face on because somebody was mean to you at work and you're just internalizing it and you're like, life sucks, they're not going to say, nice shirt, buddy.
Yeah.
But if you're there standing and smiling because you didn't let any of that stuff affect you because it shouldn't have any bearing on your life, then he's probably going to be like, dude, I like your shirt.
Yeah.
So it will actually affect you on the back side as well as the front side.
Yeah. It's definitely a two-way street. I was going to run with that too, because also a big thing is to stay in the now. And I think that's something that is also a parallel for music. Whether you're writing, recording, whether you're practicing, jamming, doing whatever with music, it's very easy to get sucked up into the moment, into right now. And that's where all of your problems anytime disappear. I have to go back to the studio after we're done with this podcast, and I can't believe how long we've been talking right now.
It's been a while.
It's been a second. Yeah, dude. But that's because I'm in the moment.
Yeah.
I've thought about how I have to go back to the studio. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter right now because I'm here right now. I'm not sucked up into what happened to work yesterday or the day before. It doesn't affect me because I'm here and now.
Exactly.
And when you're here and now, the future and the past, they can't touch you.
Exactly.
Because the most important thing that we have is right now. I'm not trying to get philosophical or anything, but that's how you make... not like medical depression or medical anxiety, I know that there's deficiencies and things like that.
Yes.
But that's how you make a lot of that stuff disappears. She was really mean to me, in the line at the store. She was super mean to me in the line at the store, and to hell with her.
Yep.
And I can stay in that all day long.
Yeah. But
as soon as you walk away from it,
it should be just done.
it's gone.
Yep.
And it's a practice.
Dude,
I'm not perfect at it.
Dude.
I'm not good at it.
No.
I should say.
No, I think that's something everybody, like I said earlier, everybody's got to learn these lessons in life. And some lessons are more inherent than others, and other people, it's not. Like people like me, it takes me till my 20s to figure out some of these things that, for some reason, you think should be apparent your whole entire life. It should have been obvious that this is the way everything should have been, but for some reason, then it didn't matter. But you got to stay in the now, and that's, it's a very important thing to not dwell on your own personal yesterdays, and if you are going to compete with anybody in any aspect, I always say compete with yourself yesterday.
Yeah.
Because, just get better than that person, and then you did your job. And it doesn't matter what day you're at. Right now, you should always be better than yourself yesterday. Whether or not you guys are listening to this on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, if you're re-listening to this in the future sometime, are you better than you were yesterday? And that's all it comes down to, And, some of that comes down to creating your own benchmarks, like recording an album.
Yeah.
Like you got this album, it's out there, it's for everybody to listen. You were talking about going back to the studio to do some more stuff. So that's freaking sweet. You're out there making stuff and you're doing the stuff you need to do. And that's really sweet. And I urge everybody to check it out. I'm going to throw a link down below for everybody to at least find the album. I'm assuming it's available on iTunes and Amazon and all the other places.
Yeah.
You can go check it out wherever you listen to music. Go ahead and buy it if you want to. It's well worth a listen. I urge everyone to check it out. Yeah, there's so many people that listen to this that are fans of the same styles of music that we grew up listening to, and I guarantee they would enjoy this. So I urge everybody to check this out. One of my favorite things about these podcasts is they help humanize everybody, and make everybody realize we're all just the same kind of people. Because once you sit down and have an hour plus long conversation with somebody, you start to realize these people are just human, and I just want to give everybody a little bit of an insight into that I have a little bit of an issue with it myself sometimes where I'm like, this person won't want to talk to me because they're too good at the guitar. That doesn't make sense, And
No, it doesn't.
These are ways to help make people realize this is just a human being. So, you were talking about how you got to go to the studio. So I don't want to keep you too much longer. So we're 2 hours in.
We're all good, man.
Yeah.
I'm not really positive what time it is. It's 6:06. I'm sure people are.
Yeah. I put my phone down too. It's kind of crazy, but
yeah. And I'll check those in a minute. Cause like I said, this is important. This is what I set out. Pardon me. I need a cigarette. This is what I set out to do today. And, I just have a little bit more business. We're not going to be working on anything, but me and a couple of guys are talking about some things in the direction that we want to move in the studio and
cool
how to go about it. And, so it's not, super duper pressing.
Yeah.
But obviously, we are getting on 2 hours.
Yeah, this is getting close to being one of the longest episodes ever because I have gone over 2 hours once before, maybe twice. But
you're welcome to edit this and gonna trim up and
I'm gonna leave it all in here, especially the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah. One of the I don't know. We kind of touched on practice, and there was a point in my musicianship where I was waking up at 8 and I was eating breakfast, and then I would go sit at the drum set for hours and I would dabble on the piano. This is when I realized the circle of fourths and fifths. Mm-hmm. And I was working on one song. I was working on Mankato, actually, the song, the ska song. Mm-hmm. But practice really does, it sounds like a fallacy, mm-hmm. but practice is really, it's so important. I don't really pride myself on being like an amazing drummer. I don't pride myself on being an amazing guitar player or an amazing bass player. I really focused hard in these last years on being a good songwriter. Mm-hmm. So if somebody asked really like how I feel about music, you kind of asked like guitar or drummer first. Like, I guess I see myself more as a songwriter. So, a writer, I guess, because there's poems you could track down and find on my Facebook page that I'm going to start posting on my Instagram and things like that.
Cool.
That because writing it's such a huge outlet.
Yes. That's
probably my biggest outlet is writing. It doesn't have to be a poem. It doesn't have to be a song. Just writing things down. You know, that's kind of I heard somebody say once that writing things down is the key to the future.
I could see that.
You know,
It establishes some sort of permanence for something too. Because how many good ideas have you had that you were like, this would be a good song or whatever, and then you didn't write it down, record it, practice it, do anything with it, and then all of a sudden the next day it's gone, and you're like, oh, that lyric I thought of, gone. You know?
I just did it the other day.
Oh.
It's like losing money.
It is.
I lost $50 like at the beginning of the year. Just $50 just vanished. Either I lost it or I forgot that I spent it. One of the two. Either way, I'm not really pleased because I don't remember what I spent it on.
Yeah.
And forgetting a lyric when you've been drilling and drilling and drilling on the same like line,
Oh god.
trying to come up with something to follow it, and it's just gone.
Yep.
Oh my god, I hate it so much.
Yeah, it's the worst, man.
It's the worst, dude.
I mean, it's there's nothing worse than like trying to remember something, like whether or not my biggest problem, I guess, is I will sit down and I'll be doing exactly that while I'm driving somewhere. I'm like humming something, or like, this would be a good premise for a song to go something like this, and then maybe these could be the words, the chords could go something like this, and then I never fabricate any of it any further. When I get to my destination, I forget about everything on the drive, and I'm like, I don't remember that song I was humming on the way here that I thought of. That, you know, it didn't create any permanence. It wasn't in the future at all because I didn't write any of it down. You know, I see where you're coming from. Man.
Yeah, it's tough, and the only thing that you can really do at that point when you lose something is try to convince yourself that you lost it for a reason.
Yeah.
That there's something better waiting underneath.
Okay, yeah.
And it's a hard thing to do. I do it with. I lost that $50, or I think I lost that $50. Somebody else needed it more than I did.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's all I can tell myself is apparently somebody else needed it more than me.
Yep.
And just hard things to convince yourself of.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's just the way it goes.
Yep.
Well, shoot, we got like 2 hours almost, so I hope everybody's enjoying this. This has been a great time sitting down talking with Jack. Jack Hanson's here. Got a new album, Jack Off the Record, Moment of Clarity. You can find it anywhere you listen to music, online. Do you got physical copies of this bad boy?
I do. They are going to be available at that show at Rides Bar and Grill.
Sweet.
Doors open at 6:30. Please swing out, have a good time, have a couple drinks, and party with all of us.
Yep.
I'll have physical copies, and my band Americature is going to be playing along with some other great acts. The Ashberries and something Saturdays.
Yeah, Switchblade Saturdays,
Switchblade.
Pawn Shop Kids, Ashberries, Jack Off. You're going to be there. Jack Hanson. It's going to be awesome. You're pulling double duty, playing in Americature too. There's going to be art there. $8, all ages. That's probably the coolest thing about this. All ages. You don't have to be.
Yep.
You can be 19. You can get into this place. No one's going to give you guff for trying to get into a bar to see your favorite band play live. So everybody show up. It's a fun place. I've been there before. You guys, I'm sure, in the
Great food.
That little it's not a conference room, but it's like a reception area.
Yeah, the reception area.
Perfect. It's a great area for music. So everybody come check it out. There's plenty of parking. It's easy.
Yep.
It's a nice, fun place. So check out all this stuff. Go see Americature live, and this is going to be a good opportunity for everybody to go see Jack play his solo stuff live. So everybody check it out. Appreciate it. Anything else? You got anything else?
Thank you all for listening, and thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Anytime, man. Boom. There's another one in the bank. I absolutely love getting to know people. I don't know what the deal is, but sometimes you just sit down and you're like, what makes this person tick? And then you find out all sorts of fun stuff about them, and then you realize this person's a cool person, and now you're better acquainted, and nobody's strangers anymore, and everything works out. And that's the way it happened. I want to say huge thanks to Jack Hanson for coming on the podcast. It's awesome. I'm glad we got to know each other. He's one of the rare people that actually drove up to my little mini studio that I have to record. It's nothing too, awesome, but it's a nice little thing. It's kind of cool to have somebody, come out and visit, and to everybody that's come out and visited with me at my little studio, huge props, super cool. Check his album out. Jack has got stuff all over online. I'm gonna drop a link to it down below. I might drop a link that you don't know, so make sure you check it out because it's going to be available, everywhere. So if you don't like iTunes or whatever. You can find it anywhere you want. So just check it out. There's tons of stuff out there with him. He's also in Americature. Those guys are staying busy as ever. So check out Americature. Your opportunity to do that is going to be this weekend. And it's going to be the Saturday, March 7th at Rides. Get there. It's going to be a great time. $8, all ages. I mentioned it in the podcast. All ages. That's awesome. I love all ages shows. It's fun to let everybody get involved in the mix and not just be like, well, you have to be 21 and drink to be here. No, it's all ages. Go there, have a good time, spend the $8. The bands are well worth it. That comes down to like $1.70 a band or something. That's nothing. Just go spend the money, enjoy it. It's going to be a fun time. Jack, huge thanks for joining me on the podcast. I enjoy your album, buddy. It's tons of fun. I suggest everybody to go listen to it. And if you're into that kind of stuff, check out Americature too, because they're going to be here this weekend in the Fort Dodge area at Ride. So check that one out. It's going to be a fun show. You just want to say huge thanks to everybody that listened. I want to say huge thanks to Couchtown Coffee for sponsoring the podcast again. Super huge thanks. Everybody, you've been too kind to me. I missed last week, and everybody said, you know what, it's really cool. I actually missed this episode with him, so I got to listen to it, and I forgot about it when it came out, and I just didn't. So it's really cool that episode that we replayed last week with Gene Walker actually got as much traction as it did. Doesn't mean I'm going to make a habit out of playing replay episodes, but that's what happened. So I want to say huge thanks to everybody that tuned into that one. Maybe tuning in again this week. I want to say hello to all the new fans, and thanks once again to all the people that constantly support this podcast week in and week out. If you like what we got going on, go to audiblefarm.com. You can find all the Audible Farm links to everything there. You can listen to the podcast there. You can find the merch we have available there. We've got t-shirts and we've got zip-up hoodies. Very low quantities of both left. So if anybody wants some of those, hit me up. I might be making another order here soon. That's just a teaser. I don't know. I've been debating it for a while. So check that out. If you want a zip-up or a t-shirt, hit me up. I'll hook you up with one. Otherwise, Jack, appreciate you coming out doing the podcast with me. I'm going to go see them guys this weekend. If I can help it, I'm going. It's Fort Dodge. It's not a long drive away, and I want to go see Americature again. It's been a while, so I'm going to go early and make sure I catch Jack play some acoustic stuff, and I'm going to go check out some bands I haven't seen before. I can't wait. So Rides in Fort Dodge, that's where the party's at this weekend, everybody. So hope to see you guys there, and thanks for listening. Peace.